Imagism emerged as a groundbreaking poetic movement between 1912 and 1917 in both England and America. Dr. Rathod, can you elaborate on what sparked this revolutionary wave in poetry?
Certainly, the movement was a response to the overly sentimental and ornate poetry that dominated the late 19th century. Ezra Pound, the initial leader, criticized this style for its lack of clarity, aiming instead for precision and economy of language.
Pound's vision was quite radical. Were there any specific influences or figures that guided the Imagists in their quest for clarity and brevity?
Yes, T.E. Hulme's poetic theory significantly influenced Imagism, advocating for a departure from Romanticism. Hulme emphasized direct treatment of the thing, whether subjective or objective, which resonated with the Imagists seeking to capture vivid imagery.
Interesting. However, some argue that Imagism's strict focus on imagery could limit creative expression. How do Imagists counter this viewpoint?
While the movement was indeed stringent, it paved the way for modernist poetry, encouraging poets to focus on precise language and imagery. This, in turn, allowed for innovative interpretations and a deeper engagement with the reader's imagination.
Ezra Pound was a pivotal figure in Imagism, but he was soon succeeded by Amy Lowell. Can you tell us more about how the leadership transition influenced the movement?
Amy Lowell brought a more inclusive and organized approach, publishing several anthologies that broadened Imagism's reach. Her leadership saw the inclusion of diverse voices like H.D. and D.H. Lawrence, further enriching the movement's texture.
Lowell's efforts were commendable, yet some purists argue her approach diluted Pound's original vision. How valid is this criticism?
That's a common critique. However, Lowell's adaptations helped Imagism gain wider acceptance and longevity. By accommodating various poetic styles, she ensured Imagism influenced modernist poetry beyond its initial lifespan.
So in a sense, her approach was both a blessing and a challenge for Imagism.
Precisely. By navigating between innovation and tradition, Lowell helped solidify Imagism's legacy, allowing it to evolve rather than remain stagnant.
Imagism's principles of clarity and precision have profoundly impacted modernist poetry. Dr. Rathod, could you highlight some poets who incorporated these principles into their work?
Certainly, poets like William Carlos Williams and T.S. Eliot adopted Imagist techniques, using them to craft poems that were both innovative and introspective. Williams, for example, famously emphasized no ideas but in things.
It's fascinating how Imagism's concise style influenced subsequent generations. Do you think this minimalist approach can sometimes restrict poetic expression?
While minimalism can seem limiting, it actually encourages poets to distill their thoughts into potent images, often leading to richer, more evocative poetry. Consider how haikus, despite their brevity, convey profound emotions.
That's a compelling point. Moving forward, how do you see Imagism's concepts evolving in contemporary poetry?
Imagism's emphasis on vivid imagery continues to inspire contemporary poets, who blend it with digital media to create multimedia poetry, thus expanding the movement's reach and relevance in today's digital age.
Imagism may have been short-lived, but its impact is undeniable. Dr. Rathod, what lasting contributions has Imagism made to the broader world of literature?
Imagism introduced a shift towards free verse, setting the stage for modernist experimentation. It also championed the use of everyday language, which democratized poetry, making it more accessible to the general public.
Despite its contributions, some critics argue that Imagism's strict focus on form over substance limits its depth. What's your take on this critique?
I believe Imagism will continue to inspire poets to explore new forms of expression, particularly as technology evolves. As poets increasingly experiment with multimedia formats, Imagism's principles of clarity and precision will remain crucial pillars.